Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're going to start with something that is helpful to you. You know how I like to unwind with a drink every now and then, maybe at dinner, out with friends, or a long night after the show. But I have learned the hard way that a good night shouldn't mean a bad morning. That's why I use ZBiotics pre-alcohol. It's a probiotic drink. It is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic made by real PhD scientists, and it helps your body process what actually makes you feel rough after drinking. I first tried it a night before I went out to a friend's party in the city, had my cocktail, got home late, woke up early the next day feeling surprisingly fresh, like I'd actually slept for 8 hours and, nothing the night before. Now I make it my first drink of the night and I drink responsibly. So if you've got holiday party plans, tailgates, or just a weekend out, bring ZBiotics with you. Go to zbiotics.com/lemon to get 15% off of your first order with the code LEMON. They've got a 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked. Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5. Thank you so much for being here. You can see we're live in Washington, D.C., where these are the congressional office buildings. We just want to show you what it's like, because everyone's been saying the government is shut down, the government is shut down. What is it like? And these are the office buildings that you usually see us walking in and out of, talking to congressional people, people in Congress, their staff members, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But again, we just wanted to show you what it's like here in Washington now that the government is still shut down. It is not open yet, even though Senate Democrats made a deal or said that they are going to sign off on opening the government back up. But we have been doing reporting here and getting some really great information, talking to sources and speaking to people who are, some of them, the Senate is still in session. We saw a couple of the senators leaving, but none of the Congress people are here. Well, I shouldn't say none. Very few are here. Most of them are back in their districts. So right here in front of us is the U.S. Capitol, and we're going to walk over there and discuss. This is the congressional side of the Congress, the side that Congress usually goes in and out of, and when they go to the floor and they vote, et cetera. You see us standing on the steps a lot. But we have gotten some information from our chief Washington correspondent, Jolly Good Ginger, who has been on the phone and doing some reporting about a so-called deal, because Chuck Schumer, the head of the Senate, the Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer, it had been reported that Schumer somehow came up with a plot or a plan to have the government reopen, and so his hands wouldn't be on it, and that the people who signed off on it, the senators who signed off on it, are not up for re-election, and so they don't have to worry about being primaried or not getting their Senate seat back. But as it turns out, Jolly has some information. It's a couple minutes long. I want you to listen to it, and then we will discuss on the other side as we take you around the Capitol, and maybe we'll run into some senators. Here's Ginger.
It looks like this was a plot by Chuck Schumer, because he introduced the bill on Friday, and then every single Senate Democrat that voted yes is not up for re-election. So it looked like a little backhanded, slimy plot. It turns out Chuck Schumer was not in favor of what these Senate Democrats did. They were, in fact, rogue Democrats that just want to see the government reopen. So that's number one. Number two, there was caucus meetings that led up to this, special caucus meetings, because of these rogue Democrats. And much of the Senate Dems were strongly against them being rogue. There was a lot of behind-the-door closed sessions saying, don't do it, hold the line. They gave their reasons, and I'm told some of these got heated. And so, therefore, the reason I think this is most important is I think we need to know factually what happened so that we can address it, and that we, the people, can try and stop it from continuing. There's going to be 4 votes. One has already happened. It's the motion to proceed. That's the one that happened last night. Between the first and second vote, there has to be a minimum of 30 hours of amendments and debates, and that's what's happening right now. So the second vote is upcoming. Then there'll be a third vote if the second vote passes. This second vote only needs 50. Third vote is the vote for cloture. It would need 60 to continue. So if they don't get 60 on the third vote, this whole thing dies. Government doesn't reopen. If these 3 votes pass, then it'll go to the fourth vote, which is a final pass vote. So here's what's important. There are 2 senators that we can focus on. First, Tim Kaine. At this point, it's a little bit of an opinion, because unless Tim Kaine tells you out of his mouth why he voted yes, then nothing can be set in stone. But I'm being told that most likely, it is very, very, very likely the reason Tim Kaine voted yes was because of the amount of constituent traffic he was getting in his office from phone and email from furloughed federal workers, more specifically federal workers that were RIF. That means fired. Those federal workers wouldn't even get their job back if the government reopens. So Tim Kaine felt a lot of pressure to get RIF workers their job back and to put federal workers back to work. Despite what this does to ACA subsidies, I need everybody to remember that this entire Democrat unification was because of ACA subsidies. By opening the government, you are allowing Republicans to effectively strip ACA subsidies, end health care for millions and millions of Americans, and even allow some tens of thousands of Americans to die. Why is that important? It is important that you go to Tim Kaine's social media profile right now and comment on whatever his most recent post is and let him know how much your ACA subsidy is going up. Also, let him know that you do not support his vote because we still have time to stop this. My source also tells me that Senator Jackie Rosen of Nevada would be the most likely person that we could flip back to a no vote. So also go to her social media profile and let her know in her comment section how much your ACA subsidies are going to go up if this goes through, and let her know that you do not support a yes vote. Additionally, both of the senators from New Hampshire would be good targets of this social media campaign as well. That gives you 4 people that we can actively have a call to action to. Don't forget, you can also call their office and you can email their office. But right now, we need to focus on getting these Senate Democrats to not proceed with what started last night. These are rogue Democrats. They're not supported by the majority of Senate Democrats. They're not supported by Senate leadership. And I'm not defending Chuck Schumer. It's literally fuck Chuck Schumer. But that's not the fight right now. The fight right now is to not allow ACA subsidies to just be trashed by Republicans and give Republicans this big win. I think it's important that you have this context. I think it's important that you got the information that I got. I know this is a longer video, but I think it's important. There's some information that they've asked me not to share with you, but I did get a little bit more information, but I was asked not to share this. But what I can say is I was even surprised because I was certain this was a Chuck Schumer plot, but it's rogue Democrats, and a couple of them we have the chance to flip them back to a no vote. So let's get to work.
Okay, so that was Ginger reporting just moments ago. Again, we're going to walk around the Capitol and show you beautiful. Look at the Capitol Dome lit up there. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous sight. But I think that you should know that there are calls from the Democratic side, especially from Congress people and none of the senators, obviously, at this point, saying that Chuck Schumer should resign. And very high-powered Democratic strategists, high-ranking Democrats are saying the same thing. Here's the thing that you should know. Jeanne Shaheen, who is one of the senators who voted to open the government back up, was on television earlier today saying that Chuck Schumer was actually made aware of every single facet and movement in these negotiations. Here she is.
I wonder if you can talk to me about what Leader Schumer's message was to you and your colleagues when you came to him with this original plan, and if he blessed the deal that you ultimately made, given the fact that he did vote against it.
Well, we kept Senator Schumer informed throughout bipartisan discussions that have really gone on since the beginning of the shutdown. And he's been clear about his position. But I think, again, what's important is that this gives us an opportunity to vote on the floor of the Senate by mid-December on a bill that we will write that will address the cost of health insurance for Americans and extend those premium tax credits. And hopefully our Republican colleagues will work with us on that.
But I don't know if that is contradictory of what Jolly reported, but Chuck Schumer, according to Jeanne Shaheen, who was, again, one of the Senate Democrats who voted to open the government back up, saying that they kept him in the loop, whether he was involved in this or not, whether it was a plot. They're saying right now that it wasn't a plot by Chuck Schumer. That's the reporting from Ginger. But listen, it's a tough position to be in. We won't know for sure. We'll reach out to Chuck Schumer's office. Here's the thing that I want to tell you guys about. Jolly mentioned Tim Kaine and the position that Tim Kaine was in as it related to this. Tim Kaine obviously has a very tough job. I watched him on television today. By the way, let me just tell you what's happening here. So if you see this motorcade, that means that the senators, and we heard there was an alarm here, and we'll stand here for you. But take a look at this, and then I'll get back to the point that I was making. But I think the Senate they are going to, whatever it is that they're doing, they're going to leave. At least some of them, or a big group of them, because this is a pretty big motorcade that's striking up and preparing to leave now. But listen, it's a tough position for him to be in. And look, I'm sure his back is against the door. But I just want to read to you for what Tim Kaine's office said earlier. So Tim Kaine put out this letter, right, that someone sent to me, and he sent it out to his constituents. He says, last night I voted for a deal to reopen the government, and I want you to hear directly from me about why. I said from the start that to earn my vote, we needed to be on a path toward fixing Republicans' health care mess. And we needed to protect the federal workforce. Again, some of the senators are about to leave here, and we'll see if we can get some of them. I don't know if we'll be able to get close enough to get them, because you see the Capitol Police right there, and we can't really cross and go into that line. So he said, I voted no with my Democratic colleagues for 40 days because the GOP didn't put anything on the table I could in good conscience vote yes on. But over the last 40 days, he says, 2 million federal employees and more than 300,000 in Virginia were suffering. They missed 2 paychecks, with another around the corner. These workers, along with the millions of federal contractors who have been going without pay, have families that depend on them. Beyond the pain of missing paychecks, hundreds of thousands of furloughed workers were wondering if they were next in line to be fired by Trump. Tens of millions of SNAP recipients were on. And then he goes on to talk about all of this. And then he talked about the things that he thought that they got, that all of the workers who had been laid off or furloughed would be brought back. So they said that they got that. Also, he said that he got SNAP benefits in this letter that he talks about. It's a much longer letter. And so I understand all of the things that he's saying. The interesting thing was, it doesn't appear to me that they got much more within these 40 days that they had than what was offered initially by the Republicans from the very beginning. And, I saw him on television today, and I got to tell you, I have much respect for Tim Kaine. I have much respect for all of the senators who were, even the 8 senators who voted, Democratic senators or independent senators who voted to open the government back up. But I know that they are really out of touch with how Americans feel. Almost every single person I speak to, they are upset. Obviously, they don't want people to starve. They don't want people to go without their benefits. But they're not. They want Democrats to stand strong. And I believe that these senators don't understand it. There was a very contentious interview. I shouldn't say contentious. It was, how would I put this? It was an animated discussion on MSNBC with Senator Tim Kaine and I forget her name. But anyways, he was actually, I don't understand what his point was. She tried to explain to him. She said that there was, it seemed to be a civil war of sorts in the Democratic Party. And he said, that's not true. And then she read out the quotes of Democrats criticizing the senators and criticizing the Democrats who voted to open the government. And he still didn't understand. He said that this was Katie Turret was, sorry, Katie. He said that he didn't think it was a big deal among Democrats about what happened about them voting. And it was a big deal that the Democratic Party could take care of what's going on. And it just wasn't a big deal. Just completely out of touch. Doesn't understand that the sentiment and the movement in the party is more on the progressive side than more on the conservative side. And they were ready. They thought that Democrats were had the momentum and that they were on a roll, especially since Tuesday. on election night. And then at this point, they said they got nothing. So they're really upset. There are others who are calling for Democrats for Chuck Schumer to resign, and because Chuck Schumer is the leader, and if the leader, didn't know what was going on, or he had no part of this negotiation, then why is he even the leader? Why is he allowing people in his caucus to go rogue? There are people who are Democratic strategists, as a matter of fact, was on MSNBC today, Kathy Roginski, saying she thinks it's time for him to go.
Yes, Chuck Schumer should go. I'm sorry to say Chuck Schumer should go. I voted for him many times. I am ideologically quite aligned with where he is as a senator, but he's no longer capable of running this caucus. He's no longer capable of leading the Democratic Party. I am I am an establishment Democrat, and I'm here to say that Bernie Sanders is much more in line with where I and many other Democrats are today than Chuck Schumer is. And if you would have asked me that 5 years ago, I would have laughed at you. So that just to underscore exactly how furious Democrats are today for putting the country through this without having an out.
She is 100% correct. She's correct because that's where the energy in the party, whether Democrats like it or not, especially establishment and more sort of centrist conservative Democrats, that's not where the party is right now. And I think those people who are the more established and centrist Democrats are the older folks who are in the party and who have been around for a while. I think that they are still dealing with politics, like it's 1992. Not even that it's 1992. They think it's not even 2009 or 2012 or even 2016 anymore. That's just not where the country is. And I think that those Democrats are operating as if that's what it is. I think I see some folks walking out. Some of the senators here will continue to look. But she's 100% right. Senator Mark Kelly was also on television. Mark Kelly refused to answer whether Chuck Schumer should remain as the leader of Senate Democrats. Listen.
Do you support Chuck Schumer to lead Senate Democrats going forward?
So, Chris, again, we found ourselves in a situation I don't think the Senate has found itself in before. I think under any president, Democrat or Republican, they're going to care about the American people's health care and care if they're going to be able to put food on the table and try to bring down costs, not do the opposite for the American people. So when I hear folks say things like that, I understand their frustration. But I also hope they understand that we all need to be on the same team here. And what matters at this point is restoring these tax credits, if we can do it in December. And we're going to work really, really hard, and we're going to focus on getting the Republican votes necessary to do that. But beyond that, it's winning the election in 2026. This president controls the House and the Senate. He controls those votes. He's got, all the levers of power here with our government. So we have to win this election in 2026. And if we do, we can hold him accountable, and we can take some steps to try to improve the situation that millions of Americans now find themselves in, not being able to afford rent or mortgage payment or groceries or health care.
I will note, Senator, that given two opportunities, you did not voice your unequivocal support for Chuck Schumer, but his job, at least for the moment, is not over. If this compromise plan does lead to the government...
I will say Chuck Schumer and the leadership of the Senate are dealing with an incredibly complex situation where, it's hard to find a way out. But I am going to continue to fight for my constituents and the American people to just make life affordable for them.
Well, that's exactly what they're calling on the Democrats to do.
Okay, so there you go. You see, again, the senators now and some of the folks beginning to leave the Senate. I think they have a couple of procedural votes. I'm not sure if they're over completely, but some folks are leaving here, and you can see the motorcades behind me leaving. Listen, we got an update, some updated information from our Washington correspondent, our chief Washington correspondent, Jolly Good Ginger, as it regards to the Jeanne Shaheen statement that we made moments ago. But first, I want to get a word in from our sponsors. 2 minutes, and we're back here live from the Capitol. Support comes from Graza. Now, let me tell you something. If you're looking for the perfect gift this season, forget socks. Give olive oil. Seriously, I'm serious. Graza is my go-to. Their olive oil is always fresh, single origin, never blended. You can even see the harvest date right on the bottle. Their new dinner party pack is genius. It comes with a limited edition bottle, a bottle of wine, 2 kinds of olive oil, a corkscrew, and even Evo potato chips. That's an instant dinner party in a box. So I've been using Graza for everything from Sunday pasta to roasting vegetables, and it just makes food taste brighter, richer, better. Head over to graza.co/Don and use the code DON to get 10% off of your first order. I'd grab that dinner party pack and their duo gift set. It's perfect for the cook or foodie in your life. Graza.co/Don Lemon. Support for the show comes from Lean. Now, you ever notice that every few years there's a new diet everyone is talking about? I've seen them. And most of them, I've tried a lot of them. Most of them don't last. What I didn't know is how much that yo-yoing, it can actually hurt your health. Doctors call it weight cycling. Losing 10 pounds, gaining 15 back. It's stressful on your body and your heart. And that's why I like Lean. It's not a fad. It is a doctor-developed supplement. It's not an injection. It helps your body manage blood sugar, reduce cravings, and actually burn fat for energy. I've added it to my daily routine. And it's been a steady, realistic way to stay on track. No extremes, no nonsense. So if you're ready to do something that lasts, go to takelean.com and use the code LEMON to get 20% off. That's TAKELEAN.com and use the code LEMON. All right, back now live from the Capitol. You can see beautiful Capitol here. The weather, not so beautiful here. It's in the 40s, but it feels like it's in the 30s. Freezing out here at the Capitol. And again, some of the senators still inside. A bunch of them left. You saw them leaving moments ago. This is from our Washington correspondent, Jolly, the information. He says, okay, here is some insight on the Shaheen thing. He said, on the Shaheen thing. On TV, Shaheen said that the leader was kept informed of the whole time. My source told me about that. They said that that's what took the rogue Democrats so long to break ranks, because Chuck was informed. They informed Chuck that they intended to break ranks, and he tried to stop them. That's why all the caucus meetings happened. That's why all the closed-door sessions happened. That's why he introduced the bill Friday. This has been a fight for like the last 3 weeks. He and other Democrats have been trying to keep these Democrats from breaking ranks and going rogue. So he was informed. He was being informed that this would made them not break ranks sooner, so she was a little bit disingenuous when she made that statement. Okay, so what he's saying is that Chuck Schumer knew. He tried to fight it. They tried to push back. That pushback did not work. Okay? Again, that's what they're saying there. Now, this has been a topic of discussion, and I'll play another longer soundbite for you. This has been a topic of discussion on just about every single news show, even talk shows. Even the ladies of The View had a long discussion about this. I want to play it because I think it's an interesting conversation. Here are the women of The View discussing whether Chuck Schumer should be the leader of the Senate Democrats and how they feel about what Democrats did. Here it is.
The biggest sticking point in the longest U.S. government shutdown has been Democrats demanding that Republicans negotiate to extend health care subsidies that are about to expire. But last night, 8 Senate Democrats threw in the towel by siding with the GOP to advance a vote that could lead to the government reopening. And they tried to explain themselves to their unhappy colleagues. Take a look.
I understand that not all of my Democratic colleagues are satisfied with this agreement. But waiting another week or another month wouldn't deliver a better outcome.
This agreement tonight is a win for the American people. There was zero chance of dealing with the ACA issue as long as the shutdown continued. Now, I don't know, 50-50, but there's a lot better chance now than there was this morning.
This was a very, very bad vote. And what the election showed is that the American people want us to stand up to Trumpism, to his war against working class people, to his authoritarianism. That is what the American people wanted, but tonight, that is not what happened.
So, I mean, you know, a 50-50 chance of negotiating health care subsidies. I just remember all of the people who were coming in and hoping that people would vote them in and say, yes, you can be this person, or you can be a judge, or you can be this. And they all said, no, we're not going to mess with anything. No, we're going to leave everything as it was. I have no faith that they're going to negotiate and come back to the table. And you know, I'm glad that folks, maybe, because, again, we have seen, you say this is going to happen, and then it doesn't happen.
Right.
So surprise me and show me that this is really, that people are going to get their money, that people are going to get the money that they are entitled to. It's not a gift.
Right.
They're entitled to this money during the when there's a shutdown. You're entitled to that money.
Yeah.
So
There's
this
a
idea
contingency fund for
that they're giving in and giving this as a gift, it's not a gift. No. You know, it's I don't understand. So is he right that Americans wanted Democrats to keep fighting? You know, this would, and you know, people will get rehired, supposedly, federal workers, and reinstate SNAP benefits, but a 50-50 chance of extending the subsidies, I don't believe it.
So I've been saying from the outset, I don't think anyone wins in a government shutdown, and I welcome this deal. And let me tell you why. So the fight over extending the Obamacare subsidies is about addressing 22 million Americans who are going to see their health care premiums skyrocket. I believe that's important. I'm with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm with Mike Lawler and a number of Republicans who believe we have to extend those for at least a year. However, in the interim, while the government remains shut down, 42 million people are losing SNAP benefits ahead of the holidays. So to me, we've got to hold out for those 22 million whose premiums are going to go up, but deny these people SNAP benefits in the meantime. That math doesn't math for me. I think people, adults, need to get to the table and need to be willing to negotiate. And here's the other factor that wasn't mentioned here. Donald Trump has been pushing Leader Thune to nuke the filibuster, which would allow Republicans to reopen the government without needing a single Democratic vote to do so. Leader Thune didn't do that. He actually worked with a number of Democrats to come to this conclusion, which does get Dems some win, reversing those layoffs, as you mentioned, extending SNAP and WIC benefits through the end of 2026, also ensuring that the military and Veterans Affairs get paid, and guaranteeing this vote on Obamacare subsidies, which we'll see. But that is a much better deal than what could have happened if it was not reopened. And finally, Democrats are going to look like losers if they're just attacking each other in this. For some reason, Marjorie Taylor Greene was better at messaging the stakes of this shutdown, it feels like, than a lot of Democrats were. You have to give people the benefits they are entitled to under SNAP. You have to address the underlying issues of the crisis of healthcare in this country, but get government back working. No one can get anywhere. Flights aren't flying. The holidays are coming.
Yeah.
This is a welcome decision in my mind.
Okay.
Look, let's be clear. The Republicans run the House. The Republicans run the Senate. The Republicans run the White House. The Republicans run the Supreme Court, as far as I'm concerned. This was a choice by Republicans to cut SNAP benefits. This was a choice by Republicans to cut ACA subsidies. This was a choice by the Republicans to gut the federal government and federal employment. Democrats had nothing to do with it. I want an opposition party. I think the Democrats caved. I think the Democrats let down the American people. And like you, Whoopi, I have absolutely no faith that the Republican Party will come to the negotiating table in good faith. You know, you do something like this, shame on you the first time. You do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, shame on me. Shame on the Democrats for even believing that the Republicans will, even vote on it. There's no guarantee in this New Deal that there's going to be a vote. There's no even commitment to have a vote. So the bottom line is the Democrats went into this after a blue wave out of the American people saying we do want the opposition. We the working people want the Democratic Party to fight for them. And now they just caved and surrendered. I think Chuck Schumer, his days are over. If he cannot keep his caucus together, he needs to go. He needs to be replaced.
All right, so a contentious conversation. And look, there are a lot of folks who agree with what Sonny's saying, what Whoopi said on The View. But here's the thing. We put up a poll just moments ago. It says, how do you feel about Senate Democrats voting with Republicans to reopen the government without getting a deal on health care? Now, this is our own poll up here up on the Don Lemon Show. Hate it? Classic Dem cave, zero backbone, 64%. Disappointed but not surprised, 28%. I don't even know anymore, 6%. Okay with it, I'm ready for the government to open, that's 3%. So you can, I mean, just here, folks are not happy with what the Democrats did. And that's what I said about Tim Kaine. People, he is not with the people. He's not reading the tea leaves. He's not obviously out discussing it with people. I'm sure they're calling his office, etc. I understand how he feels about people not getting paid. But the energy of the Democratic Party is on the progressive side and on the side of people, the Democrats standing up to this authoritarian regime. Carter feels the same way. You're the head of the Young.
I run Groundswell Coalition. We're a progressive nonprofit talking to college students in Georgia and going to go across the country. I'm also with the 64%. I think the Democratic Party should relook. I think the Democrats who voted yes on this bill is going to face some serious backlash with their constituents. Listen, we've been fighting this for 40 days. We have SNAP, we have so much on the line with the Affordable Care Act that it honestly, on a strategic standpoint, makes no sense to me why we would negotiate and cave in to this moment, because there's too much on the line. I mean, we hear people like Gavin Newsom come out. I totally agree with him. We need to do everything we can to fight back, and I think it's pathetic that the Democrats are caving in at a time like this, where I think this is the problem why so many people can't trust the Democratic Party right now, and it's a problem. We need more progressives in, like Zohan. We need more people standing up, more people fighting against this general bureaucracy that exists in D.C. that's still here.
Why do you think the Democrats who did cave, and they hate that word, right? But I think that they did cave. Why do you think that they did? Do you think they understand where Democrats are right now? No. Where the zeitgeist is in the party?
I don't. I think they're out of touch, unfortunately, with the people in the party. I think I've dealt with this personally. Working in the Democratic Party as a young person can be a hard thing to do. People constantly feel like you're trying to push them out of their seats, push them, your voice is being too large in a small room of top elites, and I really think they aren't in touch with where the rest of their base is, and in order to win these elections, we need to be able to show pride in where our party's going on the progressive side, and the more it's pointing is towards success on supporting candidates who really stand up, don't care about. I mean, I worked for Dean Phillips on his presidential campaign. It was not popular. I lost a lot of connections.
Were you at the convention?
I was not at the convention, but I ran his youth engagement nationwide.
I interviewed him on the floor of the convention. We had a nice, long conversation. I'd love to be able to talk to him again.
He's an amazing person, and, it's the same thing. When I worked for Dean, everyone was telling me, you're going against the party, you're never going to be able to work for the party, you're stepping out of... It's I think more people need to realize that people in the party who are supporting what they believe is right for the country is ultimately best, not what they believe is right for the party or for the top elites. And I'll just add, the DNC chair, Ken Martin, has done a great job. He came out even saying that we shouldn't have folded. I mean, ultimately, I don't understand how Senator Schumer, it confuses me how he voted no, was also negotiating it. I think that's a whole other issue.
We've been discussing that, and that's part of what we were playing a clip from The View. And What do you think? Should he step down?
I think it's time for him to step down. I know Congressman Ro Khanna, I've been following him. I think he's done
We talked to him today. It's gonna run a little bit later on the channel.
Yeah, I think, listen, I love what the senator has done, but ultimately it is time to pass the torch. President Biden passed the torch, and I think it's time that new leadership steps up. I think there's a sense of people knowing that AOC and Zohan and other people are the future of our party, and it's taking a long time for Democrats to realize that, but the sooner they realize it, I think it's going to be better.
All right.
Yeah.
Carter, thank you.
Don.
And then I live in New York. Zoran.
I'm sorry.
Zoran.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Don.
He's like, don't mess with the Zohan. No, Zoran. Zoran.
Lemonhead family.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Nice to see
Love
you,
your
Carter.
reporting.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So you can see, he represents the young folks. And, you know, obviously that's where the party is right now. I know folks hate to say that. People are upset. And everyone is very polarized on this issue, and people they really have strong feelings about this issue and about what happened. You know what? I think that's good that they do. I actually think that it's good that people are engaged and that at least they're showing that, you know, they have some life and that they care about what's happening in this country. But I do think that, you know, Democrats need to, take stock in and where the party is going, and you know where I hate to keep saying this, but where the energy in the party is. Remember, the people who are energized, the people who are animated, those are the people who go to the polls. It's not the apathetic people who did not go to the polls and did not go vote in 2024. And that's the reason Donald Trump is in the White House and Kamala Harris is not. We're going to continue here from the Capitol. But first, I want to get a word in from our sponsors. Support for the show comes from Ollie. You know, I talk a lot about my dogs. I do. I talk a lot about my dogs all the time, Boomer, Barkley, and Gus Gus. And, you know, they're my family, so I'm picky about what I feed them. That's why I switched to Ollie. It is fresh, human-grade food made with real ingredients like chicken, beef, and sweet potatoes, not mystery meat, okay? You fill out a 30-second quiz, and then they build a custom plan for your dog. Since switching, my dogs have more energy. Their coats look amazing. Even Boomer, who is the picky one, actually runs to his bowl now. So go to ollie.com/lemon, tell them about your dog, and use lemon for 60% off of your first box. Plus, if you don't love it, they're going to refund you. That's OLLIE.com/lemon. Use the code LEMON for 60% off. Support comes from Cozy. The holidays, for me, mean one thing: quiet nights at home, tree lights glowing, dogs curled up, a fire, low music. That's when I reach for my Cozy Earth blanket. It is made from viscose from bamboo, so it keeps you warm but somehow cool at the same time. These make the perfect gift. I've given Cozy Earth sheets to friends and family, and everyone says the same thing. I can't sleep on anything else now. They're soft, they're breathable, and you get a 100-night sleep trial plus a 10-year warranty. And right now, their Black Friday sale is already live. Black Friday sale already live. So stack my code DON, stack it up for up to 40% off at CozyEarth.com. Trust me, wrap the ones you love in luxury or treat yourself with Cozy Earth. Thanks to our sponsors. Oh, you know what? I could use that cozy blanket right now because it is really cold. We were just joking about it. Hey, listen, look, it is a beautiful, our nation's capital is beautiful, but we're in a little bit of a turmoil right now, and folks are not happy about it. Look, I'm glad that, as I said, people are weighing in and they're animated, and I'm glad that you Lemonheads, Lemon Nation, you guys are weighing in and animated. I've heard very few people and seen very few people in the comments that you send here on the live comments and the comments that you put on the links afterwards. I've seen very few people who are really in support of what happened last night and what's continuing to happen, because they have to sign off and have, you know, a couple more procedural votes and test votes and all whatever it is that they do, and they're gonna do that. But I don't see many people in support. You tell me. I mean, from the poll that we put up, it does not look like people are in support. There was a very interesting conversation that happened last night on MSNBC as I was preparing to go out and interview people. We were getting ready in the room and had it on MSNBC, and they were talking about Chuck Schumer's leadership. And some folks weren't ready to write Chuck Schumer's political or leadership obituary quite yet. But, you know, today, I think more people are jumping on the bandwagon. Take a listen to that conversation.
To me, this idea of left or right or more progressive on ACA subsidies, almost 80% of Americans want the subsidies to continue. That's not left or right. That's right and wrong. Almost 60% of Republicans want the ACA subsidies to continue. Chuck Schumer should have negotiated a better deal. He should have been in the public more. He's not a bad guy, any stretch. He's just not the right person at the right time. We're going through a different time. We're dealing with a GOP that's an anti-democratic movement. They don't care what the American people think on an issue like this. So I think, honestly, this is the end of Chuck Schumer as we go forward.
What do you think of that, Anthony?
You know, I've never been a Chuck Schumer fan.
Look at this, 2 votes.
But I'm not ready to write his obituary just yet. I mean, you don't get to be the Senate Democratic leader for as long as he has without some raw political skills. And
so what's explain to me then, from a purely political or raw calculation, what is it that Chuck Schumer's doing? Winking and nodding like a cohort?
I started with, I'm not his fan. I'm just trying to acknowledge his raw political instincts. I feel he walks around with his flip phone from another era. God bless flip phone. I don't want the flip phone lobby. I think I said this last time I was here to come after me when I was criticizing Chuck Schumer. But
I didn't mean it as a critical thing. I just meant saying, like, help me understand what could possibly a political calculation for Chuck Schumer here. Because to your point, if he's looking at where some parts of the party are going, if he's looking at where some people who are up for election, why would he say emphatic no and then make it even more?
So I can offer a theory.
Yeah, please,
I don't
because
know if this is correct.
the emphatic no only makes him look weaker. It doesn't make him look stronger. If he's trying to, well, I guess what I was going to say really quickly, just to finish it up, is like, if he understands that he has some people in a vulnerable position, then you're the leader. Come out and say, guys, I got to help these people. I'm going to lead them to the promised land. But he's out here saying no, and then he's being undercut by this cohort.
Well, we don't know, but it is possible that
he said emphatically no.
No, we don't know what the political motivation is. Right. But one possibility, just offering this, is that he thinks it's better for the politics of the party for him to say no, but for other people who are not facing re-election, who are maybe not facing a potential challenge as leader, to take the heat, and you can kind of have your cake and eat it too. I think that could be what's going on.
I think it opens the door for people to primary some of these folks. If you're a Democrat who's just kind of going against the leader who's saying no, 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 you may find the left flank of the party coming after you.
So let me give you the flank, though. Remember, ACA subsidies supported by nearly 80%.
That's right.
How do you lose that negotiation after you just won an election?
Okay, so everyone has sort of a similar idea of whether Chuck Schumer was in on it or not in on it, and you heard some of the conversation there, but or that it was some sort of plot to to have the folks who are not looking to become senators again or re-election, to have them take the fall, or to have Chuck Schumer not to, because last time he got a lot of flack for voting to reopen the government. So here we are on a very cold evening in Washington, D.C. at the Capitol, and that's where we are right now. Look, I would encourage you to go and look at something that we put on the channel earlier. And I talked about how I felt about, what the Democrats did. And I understand, again, that they're in a tough position. I understand that people aren't getting paid. I talk about my experience yesterday traveling here to Washington, D.C. and being delayed for 3 hours, if not longer. Talking to people in the airport, on the way to the airport, and at the airport, coming to the hotel here. Some people are not getting paid. Others their businesses are suffering because the government is shut down. It means there's not a lot of business here in Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, Washington, D.C., when we walked around today, we were like, my goodness, it is dead here. There's hardly anyone here because this is like L.A., it's a one-horse town, pretty much. L.A. is all about the entertainment industry. Washington, D.C. is all about politics. And if they aren't politicking here, if they're not doing things, if they're not meeting with senators, if they're not, lobbyists or all of the things that they do, people aren't coming here to, get their issues talked about, resolved. They want these sort of cuts and they want these sort of incentives if they're not doing that, there's nothing here. The hotels usually, let's walk this way. The hotels here are usually full. We have to, if we're coming to Washington, D.C., usually in order for us to get a hotel, we've got to book early, and especially if you want to get a better rate. Not here, all kinds of deals, not full. How many rooms do you need? Do you need one more? And so same thing for the restaurants, the Uber drivers, the taxi drivers, same thing. So it affects everyone just because the government, people think, well, Washington caused all these problems. People here are suffering as well. And I understand that people are suffering. But I also understand that as Donald Trump has been telling people his entire time that he's been in office, this time about the tariffs, well, you're going to have to go a little bit of pain. It's just going to be a little bit of pain. And then there's going to be it's going to be better in the long term. And if Donald Trump can tell his constituents that, not even just his constituents, that car's going down the wrong side of the street. Amazing. It's just if Donald Trump can tell that not just to constituents but to the American people and think that he can get away with it, Democrats, what are you doing when you had the public support sentiment and the polls on your side telling you to keep the fight, stay the course, because the long term, it would be better in the long run for the country that we are at least have some sort of reins, control of some sort on this authoritarian regime. So that's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents, and I hope you guys understand. I'm not cold. I'm not heartless. I think that, people should be able to feed their families and have a good Thanksgiving and have a good holiday. And I think it would be much better if people had cheaper health care and also be able to afford to pay their families. So there's no guarantee that there's going to be any talks or votes on health care subsidies, incentives, and cheaper health care from Republicans. No sort of guarantee, just a promise. Can you trust them? Can you trust Donald Trump? Can you trust MAGA? Can you trust the Republicans, especially the way that they've acted over the last couple of years? You decide. So I appreciate you watching. It is freezing out here. I'm going to go back inside. So I want you to be informed without being inundated. And until I see you next time, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for the Don Lemon Show on the Don Lemon channel, I want you to do this. Turn the TV off. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.